They make 60,000 drill bits a day here. The factory is a branch of Australian-based company Patience and Nicholson, which sells parts on both sides of the Tasman, as well as in Asia. This is the imported raw bar, which goes on to become the end product. Most metal arrives already made into blanks, but for some sizes, it's more economical to process them themselves.
We load it into these lathes behind me here, and this machine is a twin spindle, twin turret machine, so it forms the whole blank in one operation. So we make the blank, heat treat it, and then we grind the profile from a hardened blank.
From here, they go on to grinding, which involves cutting the flutes, the clearance, and sharpening. The larger bits require this robot for processing.
So this machine is a flute and clearance grinding machine. It's grinding the spiral flute and the clearance on the drill. We use it for the bigger diameter drills, so from 20mm through to 50mm. Designed and built here.
After heat treatment and a few other steps, they come here for branding. Each part is given the company mark with a laser. Once packaging's done, they're ready to be sold, mostly in Australia and New Zealand. Rick Smith is the operations manager, among 125 of the staff in the country who all know the drill.
40% of our sales are domestic. Probably 50% we sell into Australia, both intercompany and through agents in Australia. We're a wholly owned subsidiary of an Australian company. We export to Thailand and Malaysia, probably about 5% each of those, and some into Singapore.
The business faces challenges brought on by a high Kiwi dollar. As well as making it difficult for them to export, it makes it cheaper for others to import.
The difficulty from operating here is the competition from imported product, particularly Chinese product. We're not in that sort of niche manufacturing area. We're making pretty much a commodity product. It's in high volume. It's not the sort of area that's been identified as where New Zealand would have a competitive advantage. So we're currently in strong competition from imported product.
He says despite that, there are upsides to manufacturing domestically.
We're able to say on our product, made in New Zealand. I think there's some advantage in that.
And why is that, do you think?
I think people associate New Zealand manufacturing with quality. We're also, because we're based here in the country, we can service our customers a lot more quickly than if we were importing from overseas.
Mr. Smith isn't surprised there aren't many larger volume manufacturers in New Zealand these days, as it's so much easier to import.
You don't have the huge investment in equipment and in property. You can bring in a few container loads, sell it, and move on. You know, our company has a long-term commitment to manufacturing. You know, it's what we believe in. We believe it adds value and wealth to the country, and you have to have that level of commitment to stay in it.
The operations manager says it helps being part of a big company.
For example, last year when things were quiet, they transferred some of the product from one of our Australian plants to here, which kept the volumes up, which meant that we could operate economically.
Not to put themselves in a hole with just drills, the company has another big strength. They design and engineer many of their own machines, some of which to use in the factory and others are sold on. Rick Smith says it's important factories like this one prosper.
Manufacturing generates wealth. You know, if you make something, you add value to it, and you sell it, particularly if you export it, it's income for the country.
Patrick Phelps, CTV News.